It started with a smile, a confident one, the kind of smile that says, "I've arrived." Drenched in designer winter white, with her signature sleek bun and camera-ready glow, Meghan Markle stepped on a Hollywood boulevard at the 93rd Annual Hollywood Christmas Parade, thinking it was going to be a triumphant return. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. But within seconds, that smile shattered. Booing. Loud. Unrelenting. Then, a voice cut through the crowd like a knife. "Yacht Princess, leave," it screamed. A chant began, almost rhythmically, as if rehearsed. Phones came out. Live streams began. Hashtags ignited. In less than 15 minutes, Meghan's name was trending across the globe, not for a comeback, but for a collapse. On one of the most public stages in the entertainment world, under twinkling lights and floats of candy cane reindeer, Meghan Markle was humiliated. And it wasn't quiet. It was loud. So what happened? Was this a spontaneous eruption of public disapproval? Or was it something more calculated, more sinister? Had Hollywood finally turned its back on the Duchess of Sussex? Or was this the royal family's long arm extending across the Atlantic? Let's rewind. Let's dissect this moment. Because it wasn't just a parade gone wrong. It was a cultural flashpoint. A warning shot. An omen. A moment that may very well mark the beginning of the end for Meghan Markle's Hollywood fairy tale. Now here's the kicker. What you saw online. That was only the surface. What happened before and after the cameras rolled is far more shocking. There are layers to this parade debacle that include whispered betrayals, leaked voicemails, silent royal statements, A-list snubs, and perhaps most damning of all, a growing suspicion that Meghan had been set up. Yes, set up. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is about more than one night. This is about a woman who once enchanted the world and now finds herself locked out of the gates she once breezed through. This is about image, power, revenge, and perhaps even redemption. Because love her or loathe her, Meghan Markle remains one of the most polarizing figures of the decade. A woman who claimed to escape the monarchy's suffocating grip, only to fall into Hollywood's velvet chokehold. But why now? Why this parade? Why did this particular event, usually filled with light-hearted fun and float-riding nostalgia, turn into a battleground for Meghan's brand? Let's look at the setup. The Hollywood Christmas Parade is not the Oscars. It's not a Vanity Fair party. It's a wholesome, middle America-friendly event with marching bands, toy drives, and family-friendly celebrities. It's watched by millions on national television. It's the place you wave, you smile, you cheer. Not the place where a duchess gets publicly booed. And certainly not the place where someone yells, "Yacht Princess," with such venom that even the performers on floats turned their heads. So what did she do? Was her presence really that offensive? Or was something bigger brewing beneath the surface? Some insiders suggest Meghan's appearance wasn't planned at all, that she simply walked in uninvited, hoping to surprise and delight. Others claim she had lobbied behind the scenes for a spot, but was denied, and showed up anyway. Imagine the tension in those moments. Security looking around nervously, event organizers scrambling, cameras rolling, children waving, until they didn't. The crowd, mixed with tourists, locals, and a surprising number of royal loyalists, began reacting. Not with applause, not with curiosity, but with cold rejection. It's not the first time Meghan has faced boos. It happened at St. Paul's Cathedral during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. It happened during a London charity gala in 2022. But this was different. This was America. This was home turf. This was supposed to be safe. And the reaction wasn't just in person. Online, within minutes, the moment exploded. The video of Meghan walking through the crowd, plastered with text overlays like "Womp WOMP," and "Did she really think this was her comeback?" spread like wildfire. TikTokers reenacted the scene. Twitter/X spun conspiracy theories. Instagram meme pages clamped down with brutal captions. Even Reddit, usually more analytical, was ablaze with threads asking, why was she even there? And then came the headlines. Parade pandemonium. Meghan booed at holiday spectacle. From Duchess to disaster. But perhaps more telling were the headlines that never ran. Because this event was supposed to be a setup for something bigger. A rollout. A return. Multiple entertainment blogs hinted that Meghan had upcoming announcements. A new project. A streaming comeback. Maybe even a holiday special. What better way to preposition that campaign than a surprise appearance at a beloved family event? But instead of warm reception, she got ice-cold silence. Or worse, booze. And the fallout? Oh, it was immediate. Netflix reportedly pulled a social media post scheduled for later that day. A rumored appearance on The View was postponed indefinitely. And an internal Archewell newsletter meant to preview Meghan's holiday initiatives? Cancelled. Entirely. Public relations experts called it a catastrophic misread of the room. One noted, "You don't inject yourself into Americana traditions when you're in the middle of an image rehab tour." But Meghan's defenders fired back. It's sexism. It's racism. It's targeted harassment. And yes, some of the jeering comments captured on video were ugly. No doubt. There is a toxic corner of the internet that lives to tear her down. But it also doesn't explain everything. Because the audience at that parade? It wasn't the internet. It was families. It was locals. It was everyday Americans. The kind of people Meghan's team has tried to reach for years. And they booed. Now ask yourself, why would they do that? Was it truly an issue of bias? Or had the tide turned? That's what we're here to find out. Because what unfolded at the 93rd Annual Hollywood Christmas Parade was not just a moment of public embarrassment. It was a mirror reflecting how far Meghan's star has fallen and how far she might still fall. And just wait, because this story takes twists you won't believe. There are whispers of sabotage. There are rumors of emails between Hollywood insiders and UK tabloids. There's even talk of a secret letter from a fellow actress begging Meghan to bow out gracefully. You think that booing was the climax? No. That was just the beginning. Because what came after the parade? That's where the real story begins. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What makes a woman walk into a storm she doesn't see coming? Maybe it's hubris. Maybe it's hope. Maybe it's a calculated risk that backfires so violently it becomes a global headline. Or maybe, just maybe, someone pushed her into it, knowing exactly what would happen. Let's go back to the beginning. Not just the moment Meghan Markle walked into the crowd at the 93rd Annual Hollywood Christmas Parade, but the weeks leading up to it. Because this wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment pop-in. It wasn't a random stroll through a festive street. It was far more deliberate and far more dangerous. First, understand the nature of the event itself. The Hollywood Christmas Parade is one of those strange, shiny pieces of Americana that somehow feels frozen in time. It's candy-colored floats, marching bands from high schools in Indiana and Iowa, vintage convertibles carrying C-list celebrities, balloons, costumed elves, reindeer ears on toddlers. It's kitsch, it's old school, and it's televised for millions of families who want a break from the chaos of the world. In short, it's the last place you'd expect drama. And that's exactly why Meghan showing up there was so jarring. You see, this parade isn't supposed to be controversial. It's not political. It's not elite. It's the kind of parade where Mario Lopez waves from a convertible and dogs dressed like elves dance to Michael Bublé tracks. So why would Meghan Markle, a woman whose name evokes heated debates, conspiracy theories, royal rage, and relentless headlines, suddenly appear in such a middle-of-the-road, Disney Channel level event? That's the million-dollar question. But before we try to answer it, let's paint the scene. The parade was scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. Sunday evening, December 1st, 2025. Streets were cordoned off by LAPD hours in advance. The guest list included dozens of nostalgic stars, actors from Christmas movies, influencers with family-friendly content, child performers from local talent academies. It wasn't glamorous. It was homespun, the kind of event where no one expects to be booed. A light fog rolled in around 4:30 p.m., just as golden hours started to bathe the city in its cinematic glow. Photographers lined up. Children bounced with excitement. YouTubers streamed live, panning their phones across floats shaped like gingerbread houses and oversized sleighs. And then, the whispers began. She's here. Wait, is that her? People weren't quite sure. Was it a lookalike? A Meghan impersonator? Then a man with a press badge shouted, "It's Meghan! Meghan Markle is at the parade." Panic. Screams. Confusion. People scrambled to lift phones into the air. You could hear the collective rustle of 1,000 devices turning toward the same unexpected scene. And there she was, Duchess, exiled royal, media magnate, walking down the street, not on a float, not on a red carpet. in the crowd. She wasn't listed on any official lineup. No scheduled appearance. No press release. No mention in the event's promo materials. Just there, among the people, smiling, nodding, flanked by two aides dressed in all-black winter wear. And that's where things turned. Because while some gasped in delight, others recoiled. At first, it was scattered. A cough that sounded suspiciously like boo. A sarcastic cheer. Then came the first audible heckle. Wrong parade, Meghan. Laughter. Nervous, sharp. Then louder, more pointed. Yacht Princess leave. And that's when it spiraled. Because like all crowd phenomena, once someone breaks the tension, the rest follow. What began as murmurs erupted into a wave. Boo-boo. A child asked her mom why everyone was yelling. A teenage girl live-streamed the moment with the caption, "This is crazy? Meghan's here, and everyone hates her?" And then a man holding a sign that read, "Merry Christmas, America," raised his voice and shouted, "Back to Buckingham, traitor." That one stuck. Within minutes, the parade organizers were in chaos. Volunteers wearing Santa hats and walkie-talkies tried to contain the spectacle. Meghan's aides moved closer, shielding her slightly. But she didn't run. No, she kept walking, smiling, shoulders squared, even as the noise grew louder. Was it courage? Stubbornness? PR training? Whatever it was, she held her ground. And that's where the second layer of this disaster begins. Because Meghan's presence at the parade wasn't just unexpected, it was disruptive. And in Hollywood, being disruptive can be a good thing, unless you're already on thin ice. Now, let's rewind just 2 weeks before the parade. An anonymous entertainment blog, small but credible, posted a blind item that sent some media circles buzzing. Streaming Duchess expected to appear at family-friendly televised event in early December. Uninvited, unwelcome, unaware. Most dismissed it as nonsense. But a few PR insiders began whispering, Meghan's planning something. Her team had been unusually quiet since the underwhelming performance of her lifestyle brand, as ever, and the cold, critical reception of her Netflix documentary. With love, Meghan. A comeback was due. And the holidays? Prime timing. Rumors swirled. She'd lobbied for a spot in the parade. A float. A reading of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." Maybe even an appearance with former Disney actors. But, according to multiple sources, organizers gently but firmly declined. That should have been the end of it. But Meghan doesn't take no lightly. At least that's what people close to her have said in past interviews. Off the record, of course. She believes in forging her own path, breaking the mold, writing her own script. And for the most part, it's worked. Until now. Because when she showed up anyway, when she walked into that crowd with her head high and her smile camera ready, she miscalculated something crucial. Not the crowd's political leanings, not the royal family's revenge tactics, but something far more powerful. The American public's capacity for forgiveness and fatigue. See, for years, Meghan has played many roles in the public eye. Victim, survivor, warrior, truth-teller, outsider. And at times, rightfully so, the British press did hound her. The palace did let her down. The world did watch her sob on Oprah's couch and feel a pang of sympathy. But since then, missteps, mixed messages, PR gaffes, whispered hypocrisies. She fled the palace for privacy, then signed mega deals for content centered on her personal life. She claimed she never Googled Harry. Then recounted tabloid stories verbatim. She said titles didn't matter, then fought to have them reinstated for her children. To some, it reads like empowerment. To others, entitlement. And those contradictions have worn thin on a public that's exhausted from celebrity theatrics. So when Meghan appeared at the parade, an event symbolizing simplicity, family, nostalgia, it struck a nerve. She didn't belong in that context, and the crowd let her know it. But what came next? That's where things spiral from awkward to explosive. Because that night wasn't just a public relations miscalculation. It triggered a domino effect no one, perhaps not even Meghan, could have anticipated. Because as the world fixated on that single moment, another storm was already brewing. One with leaked audio, shadowy figures from her past, and whispers of betrayal so sharp they made even her staunchest allies go quiet. And when the first leak surfaced, it wasn't what anyone expected. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What does it sound like when a reputation collapses in real time? It's not always silence. In fact, sometimes it's very loud. It sounds like a crowd of thousands roaring disapproval in unison. It sounds like camera shutters snapping at a panicked pace. It sounds like the digital gasp of a world watching through phone screens, mouths agape, unable to decide if it's real or performance. That's what happened when Meghan Markle walked into the 93rd annual Hollywood Christmas parade and was met with a thunderstorm of boos. Let's be clear, public booing in America is rare. This isn't the UK, where football fans rain down disdain at the drop of a pass. This is Hollywood. This is California, home to carefully curated applause, managed optics, and polite silence even when distaste simmers beneath the surface. But not that night. That night, the rules broke. And the internet? It caught everything. Let's dissect the moment. At exactly 6:22 p.m., as the third float passed Hollywood and Vine, a ripple started down the street. The live stream, which had maybe 1,300 viewers at the time, suddenly spiked to over 50,000. Why? Because of one 15-second clip that hit TikTok like a grenade. A shaky phone camera, blurry in the beginning, pans toward the sidewalk. You hear someone say, "Wait, is that Meghan Markle? What is she doing here?" Then a pause. And then, boo! The person filming gasps. A second boo follows. Then another. And another. It was like a switch flipped. In just 10 seconds, the reaction snowballed. You hear laughter, mocking claps. One woman clearly yells, "Wrong parade, Duchess." Another man, whose voice would go viral, leans into the chaos and shouts with guttural precision, "Yacht Princess, leave." That phrase would ricochet across the internet in less than an hour. Hashtag Yacht Princess trended on X, formerly Twitter, within 25 minutes. On TikTok, the same video clip was reposted over 3,000 times within the first 2 hours, each edit more brutal than the last. Some slowed it down and added dramatic music, as if it were the fall of a dictator. Others overlaid cartoon sound effects, turning Meghan's stunned blink into a punchline. A few added side-by-side shots of her royal wedding and the booing moment, captioned, "From this to this." But not all of it was sarcastic. Some users posted reactions of genuine shock and discomfort. One user, at Mom of Twins LA, wrote, "I was 2 rows behind her. The booing was real. It was scary. She looked stunned. This wasn't right, no matter what you think of her." Another commented, "This wasn't criticism. This was cruelty." But others weren't so sympathetic. A verified political influencer posted, "She wanted to be famous more than she wanted to be royal. This is what fame looks like." Even celebrities joined the discourse, albeit subtly. One actor known for his holiday movie franchise tweeted a single word, "Yikes." Now let's pause. Why did this booing hit so hard? Because Meghan Markle isn't just a celebrity. She's a lightning rod. And any public reaction to her, positive or negative, becomes cultural commentary. This wasn't just booing Meghan. It was booing what she represents. To some, entitlement. To others, victimhood. To a few, a woman fighting a system that broke her. To many, a woman who chose the spotlight and now flinches when it shines harshly. But here's what truly made the moment unforgettable. She didn't run. As the crowd's disapproval grew louder, Meghan didn't duck. She didn't hide. She didn't sprint off in a panic like some might. She held her posture. Her chin remained lifted. Her hands stayed calmly folded. She whispered something to her aide, likely keep walking, and continued on, eyes forward, lips pressed into a half-smile that betrayed the sting underneath. The cameras caught that too. The strain around her eyes. The momentary tremble in her bottom lip. The practiced grace that flickered for just a second, replaced by something raw. And that rawness is what made the moment human. Because whatever you think of Meghan Markle, she didn't expect this. And Hollywood, a town built on knowing how things will go, didn't expect it either. PR firms began texting each other. Did you know she was going to be there? Who approved this? Should we distance? We have clients who are going to be asked about this. One publicist allegedly messaged a client. If anyone asks, say you weren't at the parade. It was that radioactive. Behind the scenes, Archewell staff scrambled. Phones lit up. Aides were overheard whispering, "Get her to the car," and "We need to talk to Netflix now." And then came the second wave. Footage of the incident wasn't just spreading across social media, it was being sold. TMZ posted a short clip with the headline, Meghan booed at Hollywood parade. Shocker or setup? The Daily Mail ran with, Meghan's California catastrophe, from Duchess to disaster in 10 minutes. Entertainment Tonight opted for diplomacy. Mixed reactions as Meghan Markle appears unexpectedly at holiday parade. But by then, the damage was done. Because once a moment like this escapes into the cultural bloodstream, you can't walk it back. And what made this different from past public gaffes? This wasn't a tabloid twisting a headline. This wasn't an anonymous source. This wasn't a cleverly edited documentary. This was raw public reaction, caught live, shared unfiltered, witnessed by thousands in person and millions more digitally. No PR agency could spin this. No crisis manager could soften the footage. No official statement could undo the visceral nature of that sound. Boo. But if you thought that was the end, you're wrong. Because the booing was just the start. What followed in the next 24 hours would expose something even more chaotic. A mysterious identity behind the Yacht Princess heckle, a man with surprising ties to Meghan's past, and a trail of whispers pointing toward intentional sabotage. Coincidence? Unlikely. Because the deeper you dig into this story, the more it begins to look like this wasn't just a spontaneous crowd reaction. It may have been engineered. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Sometimes, the loudest voice in a crowd isn't just noise. Sometimes, it's a signal, a deliberate strike, a match tossed into gasoline. Because when the phrase, Yacht Princess, leave, echoed down Hollywood Boulevard, it wasn't just a jeer. It was a loaded accusation, wrapped in humiliation, aimed with surgical precision. But who said it? And more importantly, why? That single shout became the viral epicenter of Meghan Markle's parade disaster. And almost instantly, the internet began its usual forensic obsession, isolating audio, syncing clips, running voice recognition side-by-sides like amateur detectives in a true crime documentary. Within hours, a name surfaced. Trent Dyer, a former Hollywood publicist. A man whose name hadn't appeared in headlines for nearly a decade. But that night, he became the most Googled man in California. Here's the bombshell. Trent Dyer wasn't some random heckler. He wasn't just a parade goer with an axe to grind. He was, once, a key figure in Meghan Markle's pre-royalty life. Let that sink in. Before she was the Duchess of Sussex, before Frogmore Cottage and Oprah interviews and Archwell foundations, Meghan Markle was a hustling actress in LA. Attending red carpets, networking through Soho House, and yes, depending on PR reps to shape her image. And one of those reps? Allegedly, Trent Dyer. According to industry whispers, Dyer briefly worked for a boutique publicity firm that handled up-and-coming actresses looking to break into larger TV roles. Meghan, then fresh off Suits Season 1, was allegedly introduced to him at a celebrity gifting suite. Their professional relationship didn't last long, barely 3 months, if that. But according to insiders, it ended on terrible terms. He always felt used, one source told a gossip columnist under anonymity. He said she ghosted him after she landed the Reitman's gig in Canada. Another source, this time from Meghan's side, claimed Dyer was pushy and wanted to take credit for everything, including her increased Instagram following and red carpet invites. Whatever the truth, something clearly festered. Fast forward to the parade. Multiple angles of the now infamous booing moment show a tall man in a vintage Dodgers cap, standing close to the crowd barrier near the Hollywood Wax Museum. He's got a phone in one hand and a hot chocolate in the other. He doesn't look drunk. He doesn't look deranged. He looks composed. And then, with a sharp inhale, he yells, Yacht Princess leave. Crystal clear. Sharp as a knife. No hesitation. Almost rehearsed. And once the internet identified him, all hell broke loose. Screenshots of old LinkedIn profiles were dug up. His name began trending. Journalists rushed to contact him. Dyer's old Twitter account was locked by morning. His old firm issued a no comment. But the kicker? A podcast episode from 2016 resurfaced. Buried in the archives of a now-defunct entertainment podcast called LA Confidential, Dyer appears as a guest. During a freewheeling segment on Rising Starlets, he drops a line that now reads like prophecy. Some of these girls, they'll smile in your face, take your help, then ghost you. And when they blow up, they act like they manifested their careers out of yoga and positivity. You'll see one of M with a prince soon. Watch. The hosts laugh. But he wasn't joking. Listeners timestamped it. Screenshots went viral. A Reddit thread titled, "This guy predicted Meghan's entire arc," reached 18,000 upvotes in 24 hours. Suddenly, the narrative around that parade began to shift. Was Meghan just booed by the crowd? Or was she targeted by a former insider with a long memory and a loud voice? It raises a darker possibility, that her public humiliation that night wasn't entirely spontaneous, that someone planned to break her image, that the infamous phrase, "Yacht Princess," wasn't an insult pulled from the air, but a ghost from her past. Let's pause for context. The yacht girl rumors around Meghan have circulated for years, mostly in the darker corners of the internet. Conspiracy theories claim she attended elite parties on yachts in the Mediterranean, mingling with billionaires and influencers long before Prince Harry entered the picture. There has never been concrete proof, and reputable media outlets have avoided the topic. But the phrase, "Yacht Princess," hits differently. It's mocking. It's precise. It combines royal status with scandalous subtext. It humiliates in one sharp stroke. And Dyer knew that. He knew what he was doing. He wanted the phrase to stick. And it did. By morning, it was printed on coffee mugs, slapped on t-shirts on Etsy, captioned under every major entertainment outlet's Instagram post. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag Yacht Princess. Hashtag Parade Disaster. Hashtag Meghan Meltdown. Was Dyer paid? Was it premeditated? Or was it personal revenge? Those questions dominated the talk shows for days. On The Talk, one panelist argued, "It's free speech. He can say what he wants." Another countered, "But this is targeted, planned humiliation. He knew she'd be there." That's the next twist. Because leaked text messages, allegedly from a parade volunteer group chat, indicate that someone tipped off paparazzi that Meghan would be walking near Float 7. And who leaked that info? No confirmation, but some suspect Dyer. If true, that would mean he not only yelled the insult, he orchestrated the entire moment. Not just a heckler, a trap setter. And here's the most chilling part. He disappeared. After the incident, after his name blew up online, after podcast hosts tried to get him back on their shows, Trent Dyer went silent. Phone disconnected. No email replies. Socials locked down, which only added fuel to the theory. Was he silenced? Did Meghan's team threaten legal action? Or was he working for someone else? That's when the palace whispers began. Because Dyer's client list, buried deep in industry forums, allegedly once included a UK-based event planning company that collaborated with Clarence House, the then office of Prince Charles. Coincidence? Maybe, but maybe not. Because if Meghan was set up, if this was a takedown, not a stumble, the stakes just changed. And there's another layer. A voicemail, leaked anonymously, containing a voice that sounds eerily like a panicked Archwell staffer saying, "She shouldn't go. This is a trap. She's being watched." But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What if someone knew it was a setup and said nothing? Worse, what if they tried to stop it, but their warning never reached her? In the days following Meghan Markle's public humiliation at the Hollywood Christmas parade, speculation reached a boiling point. Was it a spontaneous crowd reaction? A coordinated smear campaign? Or something far more sinister? A trap that Meghan walked into while those around her stayed quiet? Then came the voicemail. It arrived anonymously in the inbox of a mid-level entertainment journalist known for breaking indie scandals, not royal ones. The journalist, based in Burbank, initially dismissed it. The number was blocked. The voice distorted. The file name, listen__parade.aiff. Curiosity got the better of him. He hit play. Static. Then a voice. Shaky. Panicked. But urgent. "She can't go. I told them already." This is not secure. Someone's feeding her bad information. This isn't about press. This is about exposure. If she goes, she's walking into a trap. Silence. Then, almost whispered, "They know where she'll be." Click. That was it. No name. No timestamp. No follow-up. But the content? Explosive. And instantly, the journalist knew he had something far bigger than he was used to handling. This wasn't gossip. This was a warning. A desperate plea, sent before Meghan ever stepped into that crowd. And someone hadn't listened. The journalist debated what to do. Publishing it would be career-making. Dangerous, too. Especially without confirmation of who left it. But before he could decide, the file leaked. Whether it was hacked from his inbox or shared by a panic source is still unknown. But within hours, it was circulating in encrypted Telegram channels, then Reddit, then Twitter/X. And soon, it was everywhere. Podcasters played it on loop. Audio specialists ran forensic comparisons. Reddit threads lit up with theories. The Archwell whistleblower, they dubbed the voice. People started guessing. Was it Meghan's PR assistant? Her chief of staff? A Netflix executive? Even crazier, some speculated it was Harry himself, trying to stop her anonymously. But it was the vocal fingerprinting done by a YouTube investigative channel that sent shockwaves. They compared the voice to past media appearances and voiceovers by a senior Archwell staffer named Serena Vale, a former political communications strategist brought on in 2023 to help rebrand Meghan for American audiences. The match? 94.8%. Not definitive, but compelling enough. Now let's talk about Serena. Highly respected, Ivy League educated, known for her icy precision in media messaging. She was the one who allegedly crafted the tone of Meghan's as ever lifestyle brand. Polished, upscale, vaguely empowering. She kept a low profile publicly, but insiders knew Serena was Meghan's brain trust. So if she was the voice in that voicemail, it meant Meghan's most trusted advisor had tried to stop the parade appearance and failed. Or worse, was ignored. Multiple anonymous sources soon corroborated it. According to leaked emails and Slack messages shared by a disgruntled former intern, there was internal resistance to the parade plan weeks before it happened. One email, dated November 18th, subject line, urgent, HCP visibility, allegedly read, "We cannot guarantee a favorable response from the demographic attending the parade. Crowd control is not under our jurisdiction. This is not a controlled space. Risk of negative optics is high." It was marked unread. Another message, dated just 5 days before the event, showed Vale expressing concern. "We are not in control of who attends, what gets shouted, or what gets posted," suggesting we sit this one out and stick to curated holiday content. Reportedly, that message was flagged by another staffer, one who had close ties to Meghan, and ultimately dismissed. The decision? Proceed. Because, as one alleged internal note read, visibility is worth the risk. Public is warming up again. This could reintroduce her as approachable, festive, connected to LA. That assumption? Catastrophic. And when the voicemail surfaced, it made one thing brutally clear. Not everyone in Meghan's camp agreed with this plan, but the damage was done. And the blowback? Immediate. Archwell entered crisis mode. Staff meetings were moved to encrypted calls. Several employees were reportedly placed on administrative pause. Serena Vale's name was scrubbed from Archwell's team page within 72 hours of the leak. No official statement. No denial. No confirmation. Just silence. The kind of silence that screams guilt or fear. And now the question burned. If Meghan was warned, why did she go anyway? Some claimed she never heard the voicemail, that it was intercepted. Others suggested she did and chose to ignore it. Because here's where it gets darker. According to a high-level source, speaking under deep anonymity, there was a parallel plan underway within Archwell, a strategy to surprise Hollywood with Meghan's reemergence, unannounced and unscripted. Why? Because the controlled appearances were falling flat. The carefully edited cooking special didn't hit. The branded content felt inauthentic. The public? Tired of polish. Meghan's new advisor, allegedly a disruption strategist hired after the Netflix doc, believed that unpredictability was the answer. No more guarded Duchess. He reportedly said in an internal memo, "America wants to see her. Not read about her. Not watch her behind filters. See her. Boots on the ground." The parade was meant to be that moment. Spontaneous. Unfiltered. Relatable. But instead, it became a horror show. And that voicemail? Proof that someone saw it coming and tried to stop it. The betrayal here is layered. Did Meghan trust the wrong people? Did she ignore the right ones? Or was the divide inside her own house so deep she couldn't tell who was helping and who was sabotaging? This wasn't just about bad press anymore. It was about internal warfare. Leaks. Warnings. Ghost messages. Silence. And if Serena Vale was the voice on that voicemail, why didn't she say more? Why anonymous? Why cryptic? Some say she tried. that there was a second message, longer, more detailed. But it never surfaced. Some even claim the full version was buried, deliberately, by Archwell's legal team. Too dangerous, too damaging, too honest. Because if the world heard what really happened in the days before Meghan's walk into the crowd, it wouldn't just be Meghan's judgment under fire. It would be the entire Archwell machine. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What if Meghan wasn't the only one who knew the booing was coming? What if, thousands of miles away, in a palace lined with ancestral portraits and centuries of secrets, someone else had been waiting for that moment, watching it unfold in real time, with the cold satisfaction of a chess player watching a trap snap shut? Because as the dust settled from the Hollywood Christmas parade debacle, a chilling question began to surface. Did the royal family know? And if they did they help make it happen? Sounds conspiratorial? Let's look closer. Because within 48 hours of the parade humiliation, something odd happened. The palace, which for years had claimed to be above the drama of Montecito, made its move. No official comment. Of course not. That's not how they play the game. Instead, the British tabloid press lit up in unison, as if on cue. Front pages declared, Hollywood rejects Meghan. Not even America wants her now. Booed in LA. Palace relieved Duchess falls flat. But buried beneath the tabloid roar was something far more strategic and far more suspicious. A perfectly timed article appeared in the Times, one of Britain's most respected broadsheets. The headline? Royal aides privately voice concerns over Duchess's desperate rebranding. Let's be very clear, the Times doesn't publish innuendo. If they're printing that kind of language, it's coming from somewhere high. The article cited a senior palace source who allegedly said, the Duchess's ongoing reinvention has become a source of diplomatic concern. There's been unease over recent months about the unpredictable nature of her brand. Diplomatic concern? Unpredictable nature? Those words weren't accidental. They were surgical. They sent a message, not to Meghan, but to the institutions watching her. Hollywood executives, streaming platforms, politicians, investors. They were saying, she's unstable. She's trouble. She's on her own. But it didn't stop there. A leaked email, reportedly between a deputy press secretary at Buckingham Palace and a UK-based media consultant, surfaced online. In it, a short but potent phrase raised eyebrows. No engagement with the parade piece. Let it collapse under its own weight. The email was dated 2 days before the parade. Let that sink in. No engagement. Let it collapse. Under its own weight. Now ask yourself, how would they know it would collapse? Unless someone knew exactly how things would unfold. Unless someone orchestrated it. And here's where things get even more uncomfortable. Because this isn't the first time the palace has been accused of playing a shadow game. Royal watchers have long documented what insiders call the gray men, senior advisors who operate in the background, rarely named, but powerful enough to shape narratives across continents. They're not the king. Not Prince William. Not Camilla or Kate. They're the ones who protect the crown by any means necessary. In the days following the Jubilee service where Meghan was booed at St. Paul's Cathedral, multiple sources confirmed that palace aides had coordinated photo angles with press agencies, ensuring that reaction shots from the crowd were heavily featured in coverage. Coincidence? Maybe. But what happened after the Hollywood parade echoed the same playbook. The UK press didn't just report the story. They celebrated it. They amplified the boos, the chants, the footage. One headline from The Sun read, back in LA, and they still don't want her. Another tabloid featured a side-by-side image, Meghan waving awkwardly at the parade versus Kate Middleton glowing at a Christmas concert. The message was clear. The Duchess had tried to reclaim her throne and been rejected. Again. And just when it seemed like the royal machine might sit back and enjoy the damage, they made another move. According to 2 seasoned royal correspondents, a phone call took place between a senior palace aide and a high-ranking executive at a major UK television broadcaster. The purpose? To delay a planned Meghan-themed segment airing later that week. Why? Because, reportedly, the tone would seem too sympathetic in light of recent events. You read that correctly. Sympathetic coverage was deliberately paused. And this is where another player enters the scene. Princess Anne. Now, and rarely speaks to the press. But during a charity event just days after the parade, she gave a short, off-the-cuff remark to a journalist that sent royal Twitter into a frenzy. When asked about the royal family's approach to modern media scrutiny, she said, "The crown doesn't chase cameras. It outlasts them. Cold, poised, intentional." She didn't name names. She didn't need to. Everyone knew who she meant. And here's the wild part. She wasn't even in the UK when she said it. She was in Los Angeles. That's right. Princess, and had quietly flown into LA for a 3-day Commonwealth charity event, staying at a private residence just blocks from the Hollywood Christmas parade. Was it coincidence? A schedule overlap? Or was Anne's presence meant as a signal? To Meghan, to Hollywood, and perhaps most chillingly, to someone else? Because as Meghan's team scrambled, as Archewell descended into chaos, as hashtags trended and Netflix meetings were canceled, the palace stood still. Silent, but not idle. Because sometimes, silence is the most deafening message of all. And if the palace had even the slightest inkling this public shaming was coming, and chose to do nothing, then they're not just passive observers. They're architects, builders of downfall, conspirators cloaked in protocol. And if they did play a role, even indirectly, in the events that unfolded on that parade route, then Meghan isn't just up against bad press or internet backlash. She's up against a centuries-old institution that has outlasted scandals, wars, divorces, and public revolutions. She's up against a system that doesn't forgive, only forgets. Eventually, maybe. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Every royal scandal has its shadows. The friend who never speaks publicly. The fixer who knows every backdoor. The power player who always seems to appear just before something explodes. For Meghan Markle, that person has always been Marcus Anderson. But when he was spotted quietly sipping a cocktail from a rooftop bar just steps from the Hollywood Christmas parade, dressed in all black with dark sunglasses despite the evening hour, a new question emerged. Was he there to support Meghan? To monitor the chaos? Or to quietly distance himself? Because if there's one figure in Meghan's story who's both everywhere and nowhere, it's Marcus. Let's rewind. Marcus Anderson isn't a household name. He's not a celebrity. He doesn't court attention. But he is, without exaggeration, one of the most connected men in the global social elite. As the global membership director of Soho House, the ultra-exclusive club frequented by Hollywood royalty, literal royalty, and every power broker in between, Marcus knows everyone. Actors, politicians, billionaires, royals, including Meghan. In fact, he's widely credited as the man who introduced Meghan to Prince Harry. Yes, that important. When Harry and Meghan were set up on their now-famous blind date, it was allegedly Marcus who orchestrated the setting. A quiet corner at Soho House, London. No press, no leaks, just introductions and expensive cocktails. But their relationship goes back even further. Before Harry, before Suits took off, before Oprah and Archewell and endless headlines. Meghan and Marcus were tight. He was her confidant, her club pass, her inner circle gatekeeper. And now, he's gone silent. The first whispers started just hours after the parade debacle. A blurry paparazzi photo surfaced on Twitter/X, posted by an anonymous tipster. Captioned, "Is that Marcus Anderson on the rooftop at Bar Vincent? Just watching?" It didn't take long for the internet sleuths to confirm it. The silhouette, the posture, the signature black-on-black outfit, the drink. Neat whiskey, always. The mirrored sunglasses reflecting the lights of the parade below. It was him. But why was he there? He hadn't posted anything. Not even a generic Christmas shot. No mentions of Meghan. No photos. No cryptic quotes. Nothing. And for a man who's been known to show up beside Meghan at her highest and lowest moments, this silence was louder than any statement, which led to a flurry of speculation. Was he surveilling the scene on her behalf? Did he warn her? Or, the darkest theory yet, was he the one who told her to go? Here's where things get murky. According to a report in Le Mode Noir, an LA-based style and society blog known for off-the-record scoops, Meghan and Marcus had dinner just 3 nights before the parade, at a discreet private dining room in Malibu. The conversation, overheard in fragments by a waiter who later posted anonymously on Reddit, allegedly revolved around reclaiming the narrative, doing the unexpected, and a phrase that gave many readers pause. They can't cancel you if you show up smiling. That sounds like strategy, not support. which is what makes the next part even more interesting. The same waiter claimed Meghan left the dinner early, visibly agitated, while Marcus remained behind for another hour, laughing on the phone with someone speaking in a British accent. Coincidence? Maybe. But then, the day of the parade, multiple sources spotted Marcus in two locations. Bar Vincent Rooftop, 6:05 p.m., overlooking Hollywood Boulevard, sipping a drink, speaking to a man in a charcoal blazer. No one could identify the companion. Soho House, West Hollywood, 8:15 p.m., sitting alone in a side booth, head down, scrolling on his phone, declining all press inquiries. People tried to reach him. Emails bounced. DMs went unread. Soho House issued no comment. And to this day, Marcus Anderson has not publicly acknowledged being at the parade. But here's where things get even stranger. 2 days later, a celebrity gossip podcast, Lights Out LA, dropped a bombshell. An anonymous source, claiming to be a PR assistant for a high-level British celeb, alleged that Marcus had been in contact with someone close to Kensington Palace weeks before the parade. Why? Event intelligence, the source claimed. The kind of quiet inquiries that suggest someone knew Meghan might appear and wanted eyes on the ground. But was Marcus spying for the royals? Or playing both sides? Let's not forget, his loyalty has always been flexible. He's connected to Meghan. Yes, but he also curated private events for Prince William and Kate Middleton in the early 2010s. He's been spotted with Zara Tindall. He knows the royal-adjacent social scene like the back of his hand. He doesn't choose sides. He navigates them. And that makes him dangerous. Because if Marcus was at that parade to observe what happened to Meghan, or worse, if he had a role in setting the stage, then we're not just talking about a public image disaster. We're talking about a betrayal, the kind that stings deeper than any tabloid headline. And the final twist? 2 hours after the Yacht Princess video went viral, Marcus's private Instagram account unfollowed 3 Meghan fan pages. A tiny move, but noticed, and screenshot, and dissected. His bio was changed too. It had once read, "Loyal to those who earn it." Now, just one word. Quiet. Deliberate? Or coincidence? And what did Meghan think when she found out he was watching? Was she comforted? Or horrified? Because for all her reinventions, all her statements of independence, Meghan Markle has always had one constant: Marcus Anderson. Until now. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. In Hollywood, silence is never neutral. It's a message, a verdict, a reputation quietly being buried beneath red carpets and studio doors that no longer open. And on the night Meghan Markle walked through the Hollywood Christmas parade, amid the blinding lights, floating reindeer, and thousands of eyes glued to the street, the silence from the people who once stood by her was deafening. They didn't rush to her defense. They didn't tweet in solidarity. They didn't even offer a polite statement of support. They turned away. Because as the boos rained down and the chant, "Yacht Princess, leave," went viral, there were other players in the crowd that night. People far more powerful than the hecklers. People whose reactions would ripple through the industry faster than any TikTok edit or tabloid headline. The real Hollywood royalty. And they said nothing. Let's begin with the most shocking snub of all. Cate Blanchett. Yes, that Cate Blanchett. The 2-time Oscar winner. The woman Meghan once gushed about in interviews as her style and career idol. Cate was there that night, seated with event organizers, invited as a guest of honor due to her recent work on a UNICEF campaign. Multiple eyewitnesses confirmed she arrived early, chatted with children, smiled for photos, and then turned away when Meghan passed by. She made direct eye contact, one source said, then turned her head and started talking to someone else. Deliberate. No wave. No acknowledgement. No glance back. Now, was it intentional? Maybe not. But for a woman known for her precision, Cate's silence spoke volumes. Next, Viola Davis. Another powerhouse. Another woman Meghan had once praised as a guiding light for integrity and strength. Viola was seated just 10 yards away from Meghan's path through the crowd. Cameras captured her watching silently, lips pressed into a flat line, arms crossed. Then, she turned to her husband and whispered something. What did she say? We'll likely never know. But the moment was caught in a viral tweet captioned, "Viola watching Meghan like a disappointed aunt at Christmas dinner." Ouch. And it didn't stop there. Trevor Noah, The former Daily Show host, known for once interviewing Harry and calling the couple victims of a vicious tabloid culture, was seen chatting with producers near the main stage. As Meghan approached, an assistant leaned in and whispered to him. His smile dropped. He looked toward Meghan. Then he simply walked away, not back to his seat, not to the bathroom, out of the event. Minutes later, paparazzi caught him exiting through a side entrance, head down, jacket pulled over his head. By morning, the headline read, Trevor Noah seen fleeing parade moments after Meghan's booze erupt. Now, was it connected? Maybe. Maybe not. But in an industry built on optics, perception is reality. Then came the biggest dagger of all. Michael B. Jordan. A-list. Bankable. Beloved. And until recently, rumored to be considering a co-production with Meghan's Archwell Productions. Yes, that Michael B. Jordan. He arrived late, sat near a group of Netflix execs, laughed, mingled, took selfies with fans. Until the booing started. He reportedly muttered, "Oh no, what's she doing here?" Loud enough for two nearby guests to hear. Then, according to multiple accounts, he refused to be seated near her during a post-parade reception. A seat chart was adjusted. His team made a quiet request. That's Hollywood code for, I don't want to be seen with her. And that was only the beginning. The dominoes began to fall. An executive from WME, Meghan's own representation, was asked on camera by a freelance journalist, "Do you support Meghan after tonight's reaction?" His response, a tight smile. Then, no comment at this time. Not absolutely. Not of course. Just no comment. And in this business, that's not neutrality. That's surrender. Because Hollywood isn't loyal. It's strategic. It watches the tide. And when someone starts sinking, it steps back to avoid being pulled down too. The very same celebrities who once posted selfies with Meghan, praised her bravery, and featured her in interviews, nowhere to be found. Not on Instagram. Not on X. Not in carefully coordinated PR releases. Silence. Not even the kind that feels supportive. The kind that feels surgical. And that's the cruelest part of Hollywood. It doesn't tell you when you're canceled. It simply forgets you. Gradually. Deliberately. Efficiently. So let's ask the obvious. Why? Why did the elite turn away so quickly? Was it fear? Was it shame? Was it guilt? Or was it something far more calculated? Because here's what we know. Meghan Markle had been actively trying to rebuild her Hollywood brand. She had meetings lined up, projects in pre-development, merchandising proposals, a planned soft reboot of her public image in time for the 2025 holiday season. And that parade? It was meant to be the kickoff. But Hollywood doesn't like risk. And Meghan, especially after the backlash to With Love, Meghan, the cancellation of her Spotify deal, and now this parade chaos, had become radioactive. High drama, low returns. And so, they vanished. One agent put it bluntly in an off-the-record comment to Variety. She's a PR liability now. And no one wants to be the one who catches the shrapnel. Even stars who owe her their platform. People she featured on her podcast, people she spotlighted through archetypes, said nothing. Not one. And to make matters worse, a leaked memo from a major streaming platform reportedly circulated among showrunners. Avoid Meghan Markle content or partnerships until Q3 2026. Reputational risk too high. That's a year and a half of being unofficially blacklisted. In the entertainment industry? That's eternity. And the final blow? A photographer captured Meghan standing beside her vehicle as the night ended, surrounded by aides, looking away from the crowd with a blank expression. In the distance, you can see Cate Blanchett leaving with her team, Viola stepping into a black SUV, Michael B. Jordan ducking into a car, pulling his baseball cap low. No one looked back. No goodbyes. No solidarity. Only exit signs glowing in the cold LA night. But what came next would change everything. And no one saw it coming. It began as a whisper in 2020. A snide comment here. A meme there. A few suspicious flags at a royal event. By 2021, it had become a murmur. Small gatherings. Fringe protest signs. Hashtags dismissed as tabloid noise. But by 2025, it was a movement. And at the 93rd annual Hollywood Christmas Parade, it came roaring back with terrifying clarity. The Not My Duchess crowd had returned. And this time, they were louder, more organized, and strategically positioned. Let's set the stage. Meghan had barely made it halfway down Hollywood Boulevard before the booze began. But what most people didn't see in those viral TikToks was the other group standing just past the Roosevelt Hotel. A row of people, about a dozen, all dressed in neutral winter coats, holding small Union Jack flags. No chanting, no screaming, just quiet presence and signs. Simple, brutal, still loyal to the crown. Not our Duchess. She left. Stay gone. It wasn't the usual rowdy protest energy. It was colder, calculated, deliberate. And here's the thing, they were not random. According to multiple eyewitnesses and journalists, the group arrived early. They positioned themselves exactly where Meghan's team had planned for her to pause and greet fans, a tactic reportedly suggested by her image consultant to capture genuine moments for social media. Instead, she walked into a wall of polite rejection, one sign held by an elderly woman in red lipstick and pearls red. She rejected our queen. We reject her. Photos of the moment, Meghan's eyes briefly locking with the woman's, went viral under the hashtag #NotMyDuchess. But who are these people? And why did they return now? Let's dig deeper. The Not My Duchess movement is a loosely organized network of royal loyalists, disillusioned monarchists, and, yes, some trolls, born in the wake of Meghan and Harry's departure from royal duties in 2020. What started as an internet subculture grew legs after their Oprah interview aired. When Meghan accused the palace of racism, silencing, and neglect, many in Britain and beyond felt betrayed. And while mainstream media moved on, they didn't. They formed private Facebook groups, subreddits, Telegram channels, Etsy shops, forums with names like The Crown Loyal and For Queen and Country. Most weren't extremists. They were older royal watchers, British expats, even Americans with a bizarrely fierce love of monarchy tradition. And for them, Meghan wasn't just a controversial figure. She was the villain. To them, she represented disloyalty, hypocrisy, and entitlement. A woman who, in their eyes, used the royal brand to catapult into superstardom, only to burn the bridge behind her. And at the parade, they made their re-entry. According to journalist Kendra Rowe, who covered the event for The Hollywood Reporter, at least 2 of the sign holders were known organizers of the Loyal to the Crown SoCal chapter, a group that had previously protested outside Netflix HQ after Harry and Meghan debuted. They had maps, timing guides, rotations for bathroom breaks. This was no accident. This was planned. And it wasn't just physical presence. The digital army activated too. Within an hour of Meghan's parade appearance, over 300 Not My Duchess meme posts appeared across X, Instagram, and Reddit. Some were crude. Others were oddly well-designed, as if from a PR firm. One read, "She wore the crown for 18 months. She wears the drama forever." Another featured a split image. Left side, Meghan in wedding gown. Right side, Meghan being booed. Caption, "From grace to groans." The trend caught fire. Within hours, influencers and podcasters were weighing in. A popular British-American political streamer, known for royal commentary,